r/AskReddit created by routinereddit. What did you learn embarrassingly late? Didn't learn until I was 20. White meat and dark meat come from the same chicken. No, they come from white chickens and brown chickens. Excuse me, the proper term is chickens of color. Afro chickens. Chiggus. The males are big black cocks. BBC for short. That you can actually perform maintenance on a lawnmower, that is oil changes, and not just but a new one every few years. I moved a lot growing up, and as a result we didn't always hang on to larger appliances, so I was like 21 before I learned lawnmowers aren't basically disposable. We have had the same one for 30 years. We have had the same for 98 years. It's called a scythe. Found the personification of death. I also didn't know that. However, I did know you put gas in them. Lawnmower ran out of gas one day. Lucky me, I knew what to do. Let's just open the lid that has an image that looks like a gas can on it and add gas. Turns out, that's where the oil went. Dad was not happy when he found out I did that, not to mention the lawn was half cut. We go through a lawnmower every 2 years or so because they keep freaking breaking. Fix them. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe for daily Reddit videos. Glass objects should not be put on the stove. Guess how I learned that? Yup, I learned that with some Pyrex. It said oven safe, so I assumed that also meant stovetop safe. It doesn't. If it has a real handle, then it may be stovetop safe. It may also say stovetop safe and, or have a symbol of a square with 4 circles in it. Mine has a square with 4 circles in it, and a line going through it. I guess that's telling me the direction I can put the Pyrex. Yep, one year at a family get together, my sister placed a glass container with lasagna on the stove, not thinking about it having been on, and not cooling down. It exploded and sounded like a gunshot, leaving a perfectly formed lasagna surrounded by shattered glass in its place. We did not eat it. Edit. Since most people were upset we hadn't eaten it, I should let you know, it was only the extra lasagna. There was another one in the oven and we did not actually go without lasagna that day. SMH, what a waste of perfectly good lasagna. It just had some extra crunch is all. Vagina and pee hole are separated. I'm a girl and I only learned this when I was like 13. I was amazed I didn't have to take out a tampon every time I needed to pee. My sister was 25 when she learned that, and she has to pee a lot. I was confused how she went through packet of 50 tampons in 1 month and asked her. Boy, was she surprised when I told her. I thought buffaloes were birds, and buffalo wings were from said birds. Mine was the opposite, thought buffalo wings were from a normal buffalo until like age 17. When I was 10 or so my family was at a restaurant and I ordered the buffalo wings thinking it was buffalo meat. Wait, what are they made from? I'm 25. I'm about to learn something. Chicken. Edit. They are called buffalo wings because they originated in Buffalo, New York. Yup, also, buffaloes don't have wings. You don't have wings. Not with that attitude. I was convinced cheese grew on bushes till 12 to 13 years old. My brother is really proud of this. He should be, that's genius. I'd put that on my resume. Proficient in convincing my dumb brother that cheese grows on bushes. That's speech at 100 there. For 12, 13 years too. Up until I was about 15 I was convinced that I lived in the USA. Honestly, I'm not really that embarrassed by it. Growing up I was bombarded with US TV, film, movies. I went on holiday to Florida regularly. I spoke English. I didn't know the difference between England and New England. And to top it all off, as a kid coming from the Northeast I fully thought I lived between Washington, D.C. and New York. I went to York loads as a kid but it never clicked that I don't ever remember seeing the wall on the TV and there was a distinct lack of skyscrapers. It never clicked until I actually went to New York at about 14 over 15 and it took an 8-hour airplane ride rather than an hour's drive. I was freaking dumb as a kid, still am to be honest. WTF. I have so many questions. Did you not go to school? Notice the accents between TV and you and your family/friends? The level of deception you pulled on yourself is impressive, and I'm convinced you walked around the whole time with your ears and eyes plugged. That my mom pronounces bagels as beagles on purpose to mess with me. English is her second language, so I just always assumed that she didn't know the right pronunciation. I was in my late 20s before I realized it. I should've known. It's definitely something she would do. Everyone knows it's pronounced bagel. Source: I lived in New York. I know what a bagel is. Ugh, you're the worst. Martha's Vineyard isn't just some land that rich people went to that was owned by Martha Stewart. For anyone who is also just learning this, Martha's Vineyard is an island near Massachusetts that rich people go to. It's just not owned by Martha Stewart. It's not just for the rich. That's mostly just Edgartown and the less densely populated parts of the island. Chilmark, Aquina/Gayhead, Monmouthshire, etc. I thought Martha's Vineyard was something like Olive Garden. Wait, it isn't? I think it's an island. Actually, I read that's where they shot most of the movie Jaws. Someone went there on a trip and bought a Jaws skateboard deck in the island's gift shop and posted about it. That's how I learned the above. Yeah, it's just a little rich island in Massachusetts, full of nice beaches and touristy stuff. The proper way to say mythology. It was my favorite subject and I talked about it all the time, and not one person told me it wasn't mythology. Found out when my teacher corrected something I read out loud in English class as a senior in HS. I still cringe. If it helps, I had a substitute film teacher who pronounced genre as Jenna. Never make fun of someone if they mispronounce a word. It means they learned it by reading. No, it means my dad mispronounced things to be funny, and I learned it as words. Thanks, Dad. For me, robots were orbits and sandals were slantals. Son, pass me the skies I need to cut out this photo while reading a magazine asterisk. Ambulances don't patrol around like police cars, but in some big cities they do hang around in certain areas that are known to be accident prone during rush hour. Plus tow trucks. Or in little towns, when the town's one ambulance goes on a call, the neighboring town's ambulance drives to the halfway point between the towns to be able to respond to either. Today I learned some towns only have one ambulance. That guys didn't have to squeeze their dicks to get their pee out. It's like milking a cow. That's not milk. You ever milked a bull before? We don't. I need to make a phone call. To whom? Please tell to you/just mobilong 738 for a free prostate check. Did you just call him a cow? What it meant to have your car tires rotated. There was that 70s show joke where Ed asked Eric if he rotated the tires, to which he responded, "Don't they rotate every time I drive?" And I legit did not understand why that wasn't a reasonable answer. Red was going to rotate his foot up Eric's, but for that remark. I watched the show as a kid and never understood half the jokes, but I always understood Red. I still don't know what this means. You swap front and back pairs, and usually one pair swaps left and right. Some tires are actually left only and right only, so all tires rotate through all positions. It helps keep wear closer to even, which helps avoid some wear related issues. If that didn't clear things up, just find a place that includes tire rotation with their oil change service and go there for your oil changes. That my cat didn't go back to the pet store when it was sick. I had even heard all the jokes about pets going to the farm. Still didn't strike me till way too late. When I was in 2nd grade, my hamster died. I wanted to hold a funeral, naturally. Mom insisted on sending him off for an autopsy first. We watched a lot of medical shows, so I was super understanding of why this was necessary. Since the closest facility for hamster autopsies was quite far away, she would send him out, and they would bury him for me, since the return shipping would be traumatic to his poor little hamster remains. After about 6 months of waiting for the autopsy report to come in the mail, I insisted she call and check back in. She said they were working on the report. These things just take time. In 10th grade it hit me. I still don't get it. Did she just not want to bury it? What did she do with it? Yeah right, EK either. Did you maybe have a dog? Dogs love to dig up stinky dead stuff. My golden retriever I had a few years ago loved to murder squirrels and attempt to dig a hole to bury them in. Walking through my backyard I occasionally just see a dead squirrel with a bit of grass and dirt over it. that IHOP is the International House of Pancakes. I never made the connection that they were the same thing. So until recently I thought the International House of Pancakes was like a Hall of Fame type museum restaurant for pancakes. I'm old. Originally IHOP literally had international pancakes on their menu and about 20 flavors of syrup on each table on a carousel. The first time I took my son to IHOP I was telling him the different choices he had for syrup. When I told him boysenberry he freaked out a little because he thought I said poisonberry. I was circumcised. I never knew I was circumcised until I went to the pediatrician and my mom told the pediatrician that I was circumcised. I always thought it was something just for the Jews. As I'm not Jewish, I figured I was not circumcised. Then in my 20s, I learned that Americans generally get circumcised. Had to make an embarrassing Google search there to learn what not circumcised was. When I was a little kid this other kid came up to me on the playground and said, "Did you know that when you're a baby they cut off part of your wiener?" I told him he was wrong. He was crazy. He didn't know what he was talking about. He insisted he was right. I walked away thinking how gullible this other kid was that he could possibly believe something so ridiculous. Only years later did I learn what circumcision was and think, wow, that kid was right.